Good morning. This is the second of our broadcasts concerning the broader issue of the management of our town. And I'd like to address the topic subsequent to the first broadcast that would seem to me to be fundamental to the management of anything, but in any case, a town where the citizens are supposed to be ultimately the deciding voice. The first requirement is transparency. We can't have things hidden from us if we are to oversee, which is our ultimate role, the management of the town. The second thing is accountability. We need to know who makes our decisions, how they are made, and by whose urging. Now, this seems basic. The last essential element, I would say, is honor. That's an old-fashioned word. What does it mean? Simply this: being honest, being straightforward. And I would suggest that any failure in delivering these three elements, transparency, accountability, and honor, should be met in elected officials by their resignation and in appointed officials by their termination. That's management. Well-managed organizations insist on these elements. Let me share with you why I have this in mind. In late 2019, we had a sequence of events in our town that involved all of these elements, unfortunately, by their deficiency. We had in 2018, I believe, at the end, employed a new town manager, our first woman in the role, someone who seemed very well qualified, an attorney, someone who had been a town manager in northern New Hampshire for some years. And by late 2019, when this person was given a review, quite normal, the review was not only generally favorable, but she was given a raise. It wasn't but a couple of months later that she was fired. Why? Well, sometimes when there's a lack of transparency and accountability and honor, there is a curious juxtaposition of events. Now, a curious juxtaposition doesn't make a scandal, but it suggests where there might be one. And the only way to get to the bottom of that is transparency. But transparency is not what our town officials desired, quite the contrary. Let me simply give you a simple sequence that our town manager in the last quarter of 19 had this favorable review. Also in the last quarter of 19, she took the decision to terminate a department head. That is well within the prerogative of the town manager. But that provoked an emergency meeting of our Board of Selectmen. And the result of that was that our town manager was terminated. And a couple of weeks later, we found that the terminated department head had been rehired. Now, the Board of Selectmen affirmed that the firing of the town manager had nothing to do with the termination of the department head. I don't find that credible, and I don't think very many people did. Then, which is despicable, some members of the board circulated the notion that, well, the real reason for the town manager's termination couldn't be discussed, but it was really big and really quite dark. Now, that's character assassination, and it's nothing else. If a person is guilty of malfeasance in public office, call the police. Inform the citizens. Why would it be kept from us that one of our officials has behaved essentially criminally? Why would that be? Well, we were told at the same time that in time we would know what this dark secret was. Never did. The affair was brushed under the carpet. Complete lack of transparency. No accountability. And as a result, we have to say, no honor. And we ultimately, the citizens, are the ones who have to defend the honor of our community. Honor really matters in public life. May not seem so nowadays, but I would hold that it is the essence of public life. So for a while, there was a kerfuffle over this thing, but not much. And the reason is that already then, people were simply less involved in town affairs. They didn't pay attention. So the Board of Selectmen probably calculated that the matter would go quiet. And they were not wrong. It did. But that's a shame. Because if we knew what really transpired, we might not be very happy with the matter. The selectmen produced, I don't know if it was January or February of 20, they produced or announced that they had given the terminated town manager a list of 7 causes for termination. Well, that's interesting, given that a couple of months before, they'd given her a favorable review and a raise. So these 7 causes just suddenly sprang up. Do we believe it? Seems a lot. So there we have it, a regrettable issue, which then went the way things normally go in the town of Wolfboro. It went to court. The fired town manager brought an action for improper termination against the town. I think that she had a case. But that's what courts are for, to hear such things. Perhaps we can judge whether she did have a case by the result. The town came to agree a settlement with her. So because of the very poor management actions of the Board of Selectmen, we were exposed to a liability. Now, in the normal course of events, if you have an employee, and a town manager is an employee, with whose performance you're not satisfied, there is a procedure to ultimately dismiss such an employee. and to do so without exposing the town to any liability. Question is, who decided not to follow such a procedure, and why? Does it come back to that dark secret that was intimated but never revealed? I think I've said enough. All this can be easily verified. I don't know. Maybe there's an innocent explanation lying somewhere, but you'd think it would have been offered. What I wanted to discuss in this short segment was that the need for transparency, accountability, and honor is an imperative need in the governance of a community. And that transparency, accountability, and honor is what we, the citizens, are entitled to insist upon. And those who don't fulfill that mandate should, if in elected office, be made to resign, and if in appointed office, terminated. That's what good management would do. Thank you very much.